People no be small thing o. They say that the gold wey they mine from inside the northern part of Nigeria, they say these people they use am go send give Iran go supply weapon come give them, and that is the reason why you see the support of Iran in the northern part of Nigeria is massive. They're supporting the terrorists where they happen for inside the northern part. They say Iran hand dey inside. I go play the videos of the supporters of the Iran for you, and the video where they talk about this gold issue, and I also play you other videos where you need to listen for inside this video. Stay tuned and watch the whole video before we come back and continue.
Has anyone seen this video? Okay, maybe you have not, or maybe you have seen it but you didn't pay attention as to what it actually carries. Let's see it again, at least one more time.
What we need now is the practical solution to Nigerian economic issues. Number one, here in the 9th Senate, when leader was here, Senator Vioma Agege stood up here. We are talking of illegal mineral mining. Before I come to, it leads to smuggling of illegal mineral to Iran and Iraq, to China. He stood up here. He informed us that Zamfara state government brought a molded gold of 150 billion to Mr. President to be given to Emefiele so that they can deposit it into the account of Zamfara government, not to the central purse. He now asked whether we agree that they can go back to the creek and be stealing their oil. Some of us said, well, since they are doing it in Zamfara, you can go on. So this thing went back to 600 barrels per day before the federal government took a decision to stamp out this thing to raise it to 1.3 million barrels. Now, the military operation is on water. We have stabilized smuggling on that place. What is going on in Zamfara before Nasarawa took over of establishing those mining industries is appalling. Zamfara is the richest state in Nigeria. Gold, uranium, silver, lead. Today, there is no single dollar sent into the account of federal government, and we are borrowing money all over the whole world from those people that stole our destiny there. What can you do as Mr. Minister to stop this carnage so that we stop borrowing money all over the world?
Let's tell ourselves the gospel truth, that this country is like this at this moment and is looking like there is no redemption, there is no hope in sight. It's not just on the politicians. In fact, it's no longer on the politicians. They have already messed these things up. But these guys have given us enough signal. Again, giving us enough signals, enough reasons to bring down this system. They are crying out. All of this video, anytime you see, they are not exposing, they are crying out. They are saying, take whatever you want to do with this information whatever you want to do, whatever you wish to do. And they have done enough, but we are the ones currently. The present state of this country is not on the politicians. They may have contributed to what led us here, but we are the reason why the country is still like this. Because information like this, in a very sane, forward-thinking, upward mobile, patriotic citizens, this is enough to collapse the system and restart again. That's Senator Francis Adenigba Fadahunsi. He used to be an assistant comptroller of Nigerian Customs Service before he retired. He's the senator representing the good people of Osun East Senatorial District at the National Assembly. He's his second term in office. He came in as PDP member sometime in 2025, I think July or so. He defected to the All Progressives Congress. So he is in the party that is in charge. He is currently the Senate chairman on Committee on Industries. This very heavy, weighty information is enough to know that there is something fundamentally wrong with this country and that we need to fix it. However, we are cruising with information like this. This man openly saying that rewards from mining of our mineral resources is going to private pockets. It's not going to the federal government. Whereas in the south and the Niger Delta, oil revenues is what the country is living on. Even to get FX, to get in dollar that we are exporting, it is oil revenues. You look at the scenario you painted of the conversation that Omo Agege, the former deputy senate president, had and all of that. You can see, so it shows there is something wrong. But these guys are shocked that despite all of this information, there are people still defending that this thing is workable in this system and they should not bring it down. Again, I say this clearly. No matter what you think, we may not have been part of what led us here, but we are now the reason why we are still here. The day Nigerians get tired, information like this is valuable enough to agree that something needs to be done. I don't know how, I don't know when, but until Nigerians get ready to collapsing the system and being able to reconstruct a new system that will be beneficial for the general good of Nigerians, we'll continue to see stories like this, cruise about it, tweet about it, make videos about it, but nothing actually happens. Again, these guys are shocked that we see information like this and we don't act. It's shocking, and it will remain shocking.
Are you aware that the Electoral Act has been amended again? While you were distracted with a lot of activities on social media, a lot of things happening in Nigeria, the Nigerian House of Representatives amended a lot in the Nigerian Electoral Act. You don't know. Now, let me give you two major ones that you need to even pay attention to. Let me explain. Now, one of the major things that was changed, amended in the Electoral Act is that certificate forgery is no longer a ground for filing election petition against a candidate. Let me explain that one because you need to really pay attention. Certificate forgery is no longer a ground to file a petition against a candidate in election. Let me break it down so that you understand. So after election or during election, certificate forgery, you cannot sue somebody, say, oh, no, this person in WAEC result was forged. Oh, in secondary school certificate was forged. Or in NYC certificate is forged. Or this and that is no longer a ground. So when you go to court saying that I want to sue so person because his certificate was forged, the court will tell you that according to the Electoral Act as amended in 2026 is not a ground that you can file a petition against a candidate again. So it has been removed. It is no longer a ground to file a petition against a candidate. So remember what happened in 2023, that many people were saying that, oh, even I said the president, his certificate was forged. You know, some people, even Reno Mokri said it. He went to the university in London, he went to Cambridge, you know, all those universities trying to find that, oh, is Bola Tinubu certificate original or not? You know, in 2026, it has been amended, meaning that in 2027, it will no longer be a ground to file a petition against Tinubu or anybody who forged certificates. Meaning that I can just wake up tomorrow and forge a certificate of Cambridge, you know, Oxford, any university that I feel like I imagine to go to, forge the certificate and give it to INEC, and you cannot sue me or petition me for forging that certificate. That is what it simply means. And secondly, you cannot belong to more than one party. It is now a criminal offense if you belong to more than one party. Let's say, for example, you are in Labour Party and, you know, because you see that, oh, Labour Party don't they shake, you now move to ADC without resigning or denouncing your membership in Labour Party. Or you move from APC to ADC without denouncing your membership in APC. So if they found out that you are in more than one party, meaning that you are in two parties, you belong to two parties, it is now a criminal offense. You will pay 10 million naira fine or you will go to jail for 2 years. And it automatically means that you belong to no party. So if you have the intention or ambition to contest for that election, you are automatically ineligible to contest. So you are not eligible to contest. They said that if you belong to two parties, you belong to none. And it did not just end there. You pay 10 million naira fine and you go to jail for 2 years. Or they might choose to send you to jail alone, or you pay 10 million naira alone. So those are two major things that has changed in our Nigerian electoral law. They amended it. Even though Nigerians were protesting for real-time transmission of electoral results, they no look that side. But they were able to make certificate forgery not to be a crime again, and now criminalize, being in two-party. They could do that, but they could not do this one.
Among those at the top of the list is Nigeria. Nigeria is Africa's most populous nation. It used to be Africa's biggest economy as well, but it has now slipped to 4th place. This slide is often linked to President Bola Tinubu, his economic policies and his reputation for corruption. Tinubu recently featured on a list, the list of the most corrupt leaders in the world. The winner was former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. He was followed by Kenya's William Ruto. But Tinubu made the top 5. Now I must clarify here that these rankings were sourced from the public. There wasn't a scientific formula involved. It was about public perception, and Tinubu is perceived to be extremely corrupt. So is his government. There are a number of reasons for this. Let me show you some of the latest examples, starting with the government. Nigeria has an anti-corruption agency. It is called the EFCC, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. This is Nigeria's watchdog. Its job is to tackle corruption, and technically they are doing that, but at home. Let's show you today's major headline. The EFCC has detained 10 of its own over some missing items. This statement was put out by the agency. You'll notice that they said some operational items could not be accounted for. Okay, that sounds like some missing equipment. But then the Nigerian press dug a little deeper, and it turns out that the operational items were jewelry and cash worth $350,000 to $400,000. What operations were they pulling off with all that jewelry? 10 EFCC officers were detained in Lagos. They are apparently answering questions. That is all that the commission has revealed. They haven't told the public who the corrupt officers are. I know it's innocent until proven guilty, but the very same commission usually does not follow this. They happily share the names of under trials, but suddenly the agency is shy about revealing the names of its own officers. And this has been quite a bad week for them. They were forced to make another announcement on Monday, telling the people that 27 other officers had been dismissed for fraudulent activities and misconduct. This is not a great look for Nigeria's anti-graft watchdog, and definitely not a good look for the Tinubu government. Bola Tinubu is 72 years old. He's been around for a while. He's a seasoned politician. So as you would expect, he has been linked to a number of scandals over the decades. One of the worst involved drug dealing. Tinubu allegedly held money from drug trafficking in his accounts. This was according to the US Justice Department. Tinubu, of course, never accepted the charges, but he did pay out a settlement worth $460,000. Now, these charges are old. No final verdict was reached. So let's put them aside for now. After all, people can supposedly change. So what has Tinubu been up to recently since he became president? Well, he was caught up in a fake diploma scandal for a while. There were allegedly some errors in his college certificate. Okay, mistakes happen, moving on. Then there was a major scandal involving a highway. Tinubu issued a $13 billion government contract to a company co-owned by his son. Tinubu is quite the caring father, apparently, but alas, most people do not see it that way. That is why he made it to the top 5 in the Corrupt Person of the Year award. The perception is quite prevalent, and reports say that he is quite vexed. He's even hired American lobbyists to clean up his image. He's reportedly paying them $2.7 million, though I wonder, is he paying from his own pocket or Nigeria's treasury? I suppose we'll find out eventually.
Well, let's now head to Abia State now, where activist Omoyele Sowore joined a mass protest in Aba dubbed the 1 Million Man March, as demonstrators took to the streets demanding the unconditional release of detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. Addressing a large and enthusiastic crowd on Wednesday, Sowore called on President Tinubu to free Nnamdi Kanu, arguing that his continued detention is political persecution for refusing to abandon the Biafran self-determination struggle. He also criticized the heavy military presence in Aba, asking why those same soldiers could not be deployed to Zamfara to tackle terrorism. Let's take a look. We're talking about Omoyele's red carpet. It's for chiefs. But Rufai, Nnamdi Kanu has been in detention since 2021, and the calls for his release have never stopped, from courtrooms to street protests. The solution, many believe, is not legal. It is political. President Tinubu has the power to initiate dialogue to pursue a resolution. But will he do so? Those are the questions, and I don't know the effect of this 1 million man march at this moment. Rufai.
I would spot on the analysis of what people are saying. The solution is largely political. So there is one part of the permutation, and please, it's a permutation. It's an opinion by some people. It's not based on any facts. It's not empirical. That President Tinubu might try to use this Nnamdi Kanu case to play a political game leading up to the election, which might be his final strategy leading up to the elections. It's not based on facts, it's an opinion. Some people have even said, hopefully, that maybe we'll release him close to the election. Because when you look at it, see, in as
with the terrorists during the Ramadan period. For them, they feel when they die, they are going to heaven. So they are ready to commit any offense or to get killed because they feel they have reward to do. But like I said, we have adjusted our strategies. You can see in the past few days, we've taken over those locations. We've killed their commanders. We've taken over their assets. We'll continue to do more. And I assure you, Mr. President has approved so many things that are coming on our line, and we're working together as a team. You can see all members of the security forces are here to assure Nigerians and to assure Mr. President that we're on track and will succeed.
Tell you how that happened, who made it happen, and why Nigerians must brace themselves for what is coming, because there is no going back at this stage. Let's go back to many years ago. The Bauchi state governor was on Channels Television, and Chamberlain and a few other guys were asking him questions about a topic that came up that people were rumoring on. Everybody thought that topic was just rumors. They were just a lie. The guy literally came out and admitted that the Nigerian federal government was funding the influx of Fulani people from all over the world. Like literally the border was being collapsed completely for Fulanis to walk into Nigeria in droves from different parts of Africa. He mentioned Gambia, Senegal, all over the place. This happened, and the guys were so confused. I mean, I remember watching this live when that happened. I was as confused as the journalists who were asking the governor, what are you talking about, sir? Are you really saying that these guys are going to be allowed to come into Nigeria funded by the federal? And the guy was busy saying that the Fulani man is just a global citizen. Can you imagine the lunacy? How ludicrous this is, that the Fulani man is a global citizen, that wherever he lands is his own country. If he lands in Bayelsa, Bayelsa is his place. He's indigenous to Bayelsa. If he lands in Enugu, then he's indigenous to Enugu. If he lands in Sokoto or Kano, he's indigenous. If he lands in Benue, he's indigenous to Benue. Can you imagine this? This actually happened. And just so that we don't argue too much about this, I want you to listen. Just take a few minutes and listen to some excerpts from that video.
I said there is a lot of mistrust and misconception with regards to the Fulani man. The Fulani man is a global or an African person. He moves from the Gambia, from Senegal, and his nationality is just a Fulani man. And as a person, I may have my relations in the Cameroon, but they are also Fulani men. I have relations because from the maternal side, I'm a Fulani man. And that is why we want to educate people. A Fulani man sees himself as a Bayelsan, as somebody coming from the Niger Delta, because he speaks the Niger Delta language, which you and I don't. And of course, we would have to just take this as part of our own heritage, something that is African, and that we cannot just close the border and say the Fulani man is just a Nigerian or this. No. In most cases, the crises are precipitated by those outside Nigeria. When there is a reprisal, it is not the Fulani man within Nigeria that causes it. It is that culture of getting revenge, which is embedded in the tradition of the Fulani man, that attracts reprisal from all over the world.
If I understand it, does that mean that those Fulani men who are maybe domiciled in other countries, who move around, they can come into the country and this plan will accommodate them as well?
Yes, that's what we want to do.
This is so mind-boggling. That's why I kept saying that if this video had come out at a time like this, I bet you a lot of people will say this is AI. It's not real, that there's no way anybody can be talking like this. That this happened. And guess what happened? Muhammad Buhari came to power May 29, I believe, 2015. By 2016, a program was launched in Nigeria. Guess what the program was? The program was called Operation Safe Corridor. Operation Safe Corridor is what we call it AKA Repentant Boko Haram or Repentant Terrorist Program. Repentant means that these guys created a program also funded by the federal government of Nigeria. A program that allows for terrorists, not just the Fulani now, not even the Fulani militia, terrorists that have come from outside the country and are operating in Nigeria, killing, maiming, decapitating people in Nigeria. They opened this thing so that through this so-called Operation Safe Corridor or Repentant Boko Haram program or Repentant Terrorist program, they can be assimilated into a place that they claim they carry out rehabilitation.
People, the country itself called Nigeria has a lot of problem to solve. A lot of problem that are bigger than even the country. So the best solution is let everybody go home and decide their fate. If they want to buy themselves, let them buy themselves. If they want to succeed, let them succeed. Because the way things is going, you cannot continue patching a leaking tube. One day it will explode. Share this video.